Hello. I know it is a little late and you had a very long day, but this is the most important question that we have to answer in this summit. How can we accelerate growth through innovation and competitiveness? And I assure you that the General Secretary of Industry is a very engaging speaker. Mrs. Ftihidou, will you join me? Please.
Hello.
Let me introduce Mrs. Ftihidou, please. Mrs. Ftihidou was born in 1985. I read it because it is here. She graduated from Democritus University of Thrace with a law degree and a master's in commercial and competition law. She also holds an MBA. And regarding her professional career, Mrs. Ftihidou has worked both in the public and private sector in Greece and abroad. She has served as an advisor to the Ministry of Development from 2011 to 2012 and 2014, being responsible for reforms in the field of competition, market legislation, and improvement of business environment. In 2019, she took over as advisor to the Deputy Minister for the coordination of government work, having as her main task the coordination of the Greek interministerial project of doing business, promoting several reforms. Ms. Ftihidou has also worked as an expert for both the OECD and the World Bank, mainly on simplification of business environment, competition issues, and licensing and inspection reforms. In addition, she has run a law firm in Athens specializing to commercial and competition law.
That's true, and thank you very much.
And this is the short version. Well, Ms. Ftihidou, innovation has been a key driver for productivity, future growth, and economic prosperity. And OECD research shows that innovation accounts for more than 50% of economic growth in member countries. Greece has been implementing initiatives to boost innovation and advance the knowledge economy. And the question remains, how can we accelerate growth through competitiveness and innovation? If you would like to comment on that.
Of course.
At the beginning.
And thank you very much for being part of this very interesting discussion. I would like Mr. Anastasopoulos to start by saying that competitiveness is not a standalone term. Actually, competitiveness is the result of many things, and innovation is one of them. Innovation is actually also the key nowadays, because we have unexpected and constant, unfortunately, crises that create, of course, the negative effect that we all face, but at the same time, crises create opportunities. And innovation that leads to competitiveness is the key aspect to help us with new ideas, with new ways of how we can do things in order to adapt to the new fluctuative environment, I would say. And innovation is not only new technologies. Let's clarify this. Innovation is how we change ourselves, how we change our communication, how we change our jobs, how we train our employees, our people, how we provide education. So it's a mixture of things that we should have in mind, leading us to the ultimate output, which is that innovation that leads to competitiveness is not anymore just a choice. I think it's now the absolute need to create opportunities for innovation in order to boost our economies, to help our economies, and to make them also resilient, which is the ultimate need of our days. On the other side, we should clarify what the state should do about it. The state support is crucial in order first to create a future-oriented planning for innovation and competitiveness. Second, tailor-made, depending on the economy, funding instruments and actually funds for that. And something also very important, which I would like also to explore, which is the better enabling environment, a better regulatory framework. This is what makes economies attractive. This is what makes, at least the last year's Greece, a bit attractive, better than before, which is something also very important for our country. And we need to understand that both all parties, the academia, the business sector, the government, should all do continuous efforts towards innovation and competitiveness.
I think this was a very solid perspective, and the work that has been done in Greece recently has been recognized by the improvements, at least in ratings from international organizations regarding the competitiveness and the innovation standing of the country. A new strategy for the industry has been developed as part of the governmental efforts to promote growth. What has actually been done in Greece to accelerate innovation and competitiveness?
Yes, you mentioned also a few, and I would like to start from what I also said before. We definitely need a better regulatory environment for businesses, a friendly business environment, in other words. We are very proud and happy having seen Greece just recently being the champion of improvement in the Economist Intelligence Unit Index. This is not a coincidence, and this is not pure luck. It is the result of a constant effort of the present government since the beginning in 2019, with major efforts towards a friendlier regulatory environment for businesses. And when you help businesses gaining time and cost from cutting the red tape, as we call it, the bureaucratic scheme, then you free resources in order to allow businesses to focus their resources in other things like R&D, innovation, technology, digitization, and so on and so forth. So one thing is that you need, as a government, to have a plan, as we did, and I think we are succeeding on that, on reforming the business environment in Greece. And let me also tell you this. When there was this announcement about the Economist Index, of course, I posted it on social media, and a friend of mine said, oh, man, congratulations, and please, I would like to see you in the finish line. But this is the disappointing part from the government perspective. There is never a finish line when you are under a reform process. Never. You need to adapt every day, every month, every year to the new circumstances. So in the past, in order to name something a reform, we had to pass a law or to sign a ministerial decree. We had to regulate something brand new. Nowadays, it's not simple as that. You need also to bundle it with a digitized process for businesses, and also making efforts to change the culture of the public administration, the culture of businesses, to create trust between the two, and in order to change the mentality towards the reforms efforts. This is one part, business environment and reforms. Another part, which was also a goal in the Ministry of Development and particularly in our Secretariat for Industry, and we are very proud about it, is that we adopted the first national strategy for industry ever. We didn't have any. So why we had to create an industry, of course, you may think it's obvious, but we had also to respond on this question. And it was easy to respond. We wanted a route, a path to show us the way out between and among different options on why to choose this policy over the other, why to choose this funding instrument over the other, why to choose this X amount of funds instead of another Y amount of funds. So the strategy is crucial, and history shows that competitive economies cannot stand by luck. Especially in the industrial sector, you need a strong, a resilient, and realistic strategic plan. This is for sure. This is why we adopted, let me go back and tell you a few things about the national strategy. This is why we adopted the national strategy for industry. It is also bundled with 43 actions in an action plan and is also combined with quantitative and qualitative goals. I would like to share the most important goal we have, which is quantitative, to increase the contribution of the industrial sector to the GDP from 10.7%, which is now, even if we have very good results in the industrial production and above the average of EU, I would say, but to increase the contribution from 10.7% to 15% in 2030. This is our goal, and this is what we want to achieve through the 43 actions that we have included in the action plan of the national strategy. These are only two things that I would like to mention. Of course, let me give you some examples from the national strategy itself. One third of the actions is dedicated to competitiveness and innovation. For instance, value for money food. In the food sector, Greece has a competitive advantage and can do more. Second, to improve, of course, the skills and the digital skills of employees, of the resources that are working in the industrial sector. Another thing is the Innovation Agency, which is a new mechanism that we set up among three different secretariats: research, industry, our secretariat, and structural funds. And these three secretariats are combined in one agency, which is called Innovation Agency. What we're trying to do is to link the academia with the business and the needs of one towards the other in order to move and put innovation on the first line.
Thank you for this. Well, you touched all of the right, you sent all of the right signals here. We talked about strategy, reforms, and implementation policy, and the need to come up with a new strategy. This already means that we were lacking one, which is not the best situation that the country can find itself. However, now we do have a national strategy, and you went through a very long process to come up with this. What can we learn from this experience?
What we learn from this experience, I would say that what we've seen actually the last years in this government is that one thing that I also mentioned before is that you need to be dedicated on what you do. This planning, especially the reform planning, okay, we may face some positive recognition every now and then, or some companies or some industries may say, thank you very much for doing this reform or the other reform. But generally speaking, you don't come up with an end. You need to do enormous efforts and constant efforts, and you don't see the results. You don't see immediate results. So this is one thing that we should keep in mind. The second thing that we need to keep in mind is that you cannot just have a ministry or a secretariat doing a reform process or a strategy. You have to put everyone on the table. You have to achieve an interministerial or at least a very good coordinated environment where you put not only the public sector and the voices from different ministries that want to achieve different policy objectives, but also the voice from the private sector. And this was also an innovative thing of what we achieved in the national strategy. We set up a governmental committee which was consisted not only by secretariats and ministries and ministers, being chaired by our Minister of Development, Mr. Georgiadis. But members of this governmental committee were the representatives of the most well-known stakeholders of the industrial sector. So after all, we built this together. This is something that helped us creating the basis for consensus, first of all. Of course, we had back and forth in the national strategy. It was not just a piece of paper that was produced and was just adopted. We had a long consultation process, and this is what what can make the difference if you want a realistic plan on implementing such strategies, not just adopting them.
Well, I can corroborate on what you say, that Greece has improved a lot with the reforms that they have already passed. We have been champions in improvement. However, we are still lagging in several sectors. So indeed, the effort has to be continuous, and the support of the government in this respect has been very well received. There is a target from the government to increase the contribution of industry to our GDP. It is below 10%, if I'm correct.
It's 10.7% at the moment.
And we need to increase it to at least 15 in the next years. And I can see that you've set up a cohesive plan to get there. To answer the question as best as we can, what are the key things that you want to achieve, let's say, in the next 5 years?
So, first of all, because I didn't mention it before, but we need also to see our RRP, the Recovery and Resilience Plan, Greece 2.0, coming to a success. We had passed a long process of designing it, and now we are in the phase of implementing it. Talking about industry, we have two major calls for helping financing actually industries on getting into the Industry 4 path, which is something very important, and it is focused on especially on SMEs. And the other call, which has to do with the development of industrial areas, the so-called business parks, as we call them in Greece, part of which is the innovation hub of Thesintec in Thessaloniki. So we want to see the progress of this plan. We want to see businesses coming to ask for this state aid in order to achieve what we have set up as goals. So we want a successful RRF route, which is the first, the key for the success for innovation and competitiveness. We would like to see Thesintec starting engines, let's say, which is a knowledge economy hub. This is supposed to get the scheme of a business park in Thessaloniki where research centers and innovative companies will collaborate in order to create the tech ecosystem and the innovative ecosystem we want. Second, we would like to see Greece continuing, as you mentioned already, the efforts towards the reforms and the business environment. We were really happy of seeing the last years very big names like Amazon, Pfizer, Google, Microsoft wanting to invest in Greece, which is a very good and positive result. We would like to see more international players thinking of Greece, not only for our services sector, but also for industrial sector, for innovation, for R&D. We would also like, as a third target, I would say, to bridge the gap of skills, which is something really important, and I would say it's the #1 issue of industries right now, to try to create the environment for employees bridging the gap of education and digital skills they want to achieve, because the industry in the next 5 years won't be the industry we know. The industry we know and we have in mind may be a big building with smoke all over, you know, and noise. It's not, industries are not anymore like this. Industries are full of digitization systems, young people working there, and this is what we want to promote and boost. This is something we want to also to create the environment of young people wanting to work in such environments, and this is also something we would like to achieve through the actions that we're planning on specifically on skills for industries. And finally, of course, we would like to see our industries evolving in the Industry 4.0 era that we are now, and achieving the twin transition challenge, which is something very important, green and digital. With the opportunity of EU putting the strategic autonomy on priority, I think we are in good path with planning and strong initiatives, strong and realistic strategies to achieve it.
Ms. Eftichiou, I will have to thank you for many reasons. One is that you so timely and effectively laid out such a complicated plan. I believe that you all realize that this is a plan that has been well worked and well executed and in time. And so I feel much more confident about the future of the industry in Greece.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for being here with us.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Ευχαριστώ.
Εγώ σας ευχαριστώ. Συγχαρητήρια.